Brought to you by Penguin. On Women by Susan Sontag. Read by Laurel Lefkow. Introduction by Merve Emre. A certain anxiety besieges the critic asked to introduce a volume of earlier writings on women, lest she should find the ideas expressed in them interesting only as relics of a distant, less enlightened past. What a relief it is to revisit the essays and interviews in Susan Sontag's On Women, and to find them incapable of aging badly. It is true that the pieces are almost 50 years old, but far from prompting the gentle rebuke that they are of their time, the effect of reading them today is to marvel at the untimeliness of their genius. They contain no ready-made ideas, no borrowed rhetoric, nothing that risks hardening into dogma or cant. They offer us only the spectacle of a ferocious intellect setting itself to the task at hand, to articulate the politics and aesthetics of being a woman in the United States, the Americas, and the world. The singular glamour of Susan Sontag has done her some injustice, particularly where matters of sex and gender are concerned. Suspicious of her celebrity, convinced that her success had rendered her immune to the plights of ordinary women, her critics have characterized her relationship to the second sex as inconstant at best and faithless at worst. One can hardly miss the insinuation in, for instance, the poet and feminist activist Adrienne Rich's letter to the New York Review of Books, objecting to Sontag's essay on Leni Riefenstahl, Fascinating Fascism. Dismissing Sontag's suggestion that feminists bore some responsibility for turning Riefenstahl's films into cultural monuments, Rich noted the running criticism by radical feminists of male-identified, successful women, whether they are artists, executives, psychiatrists, Marxists, politicians, or scholars. It was no accident that in Rich's letter, male-identified values extended beyond professional success to encompass the aesthetic and ethical phenomena that Sontag was drawn to in her writing: the metamorphosis of people into objects, the obliteration of personality by style, the pursuit of perfection through domination and submission, all painted with the same broad brush of patriarchy to indict the critic attracted to them. We may agree with Rich that Sontag did not ally herself with the radical feminist movement. She questioned its inherited political rhetoric, that of gauchism, she wrote in her journal, and its dismissal of the intellect as bourgeois, phallocentric, repressive. Like all capital moral truths, feminism is a bit simple-minded, she observed in her response to Rich. Yet unless we consent to treating the moralizing rejection of male-identified women and values as a litmus test for what it means to be a feminist, we must remain skeptical of Rich's assertion that Sontag's writings on women were more of an intellectual exercise than the expression of a felt reality, her own, interpreted by a keen mind. In a journal entry from 1972, Sontag noted that women was one of the 3 themes she had been following all her life, the other 2 being China and freaks. It was only in the 1970s, however, that the theme became central to her writing. The historical explanation is straightforward enough. The years from 1968 to 1973 were the most publicly visible and active stretch of the women's movement in the United States. Years that appear to us now in an energetic sequence of film dissolves, women burning bras, women marching in the streets and swaying at candlelight vigils, women distributing.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?